You had this extraordinary scene that they were due to play a playoff game against the Orlando Magic. It was to take place within the NBA's bubble. It's a coronavirus-free zone in Orlando at the moment where all of the NBA games are taking place. The Orlando players were out in court warming up. There was no sign of the Bucks players for a while. Then the word began to emerge that they had held meetings and discussions about whether it would be a fitting protest to not play the game due to what had happened so very close to Milwaukee, the shooting of Jacob Blake just 40 miles outside the city where the Bucks call their home. And the word came from the locker room that they would not take the court. And an extraordinary turn of events following that. The two other games due to be played yesterday were also called off. And the NBA at an impasse amongst this fight for racial justice into which so much of the players' hopes and dreams have been invested.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know, I suppose, in that moment, how much the administrators were working in concert with the players. But I note this quote from the Bucks senior VP, Alex Lassery, who tweeted, the stand taken by the players shows that we're fed up. Enough is enough. Change needs to happen. I'm incredibly proud of our guys, and we stand 100% behind our players, ready to assist and bring about real change. So it's not always been the case, has it, that, so if you think back to the NFL, American football, some of the take-the-knee protests didn't always enjoy universal support from within the club?
No, but the NFL, a very different animal. I mean, the treatment that Colin Kaepernick received, very different to the attitude that the NBA has traditionally shown to its players. Over the years, its players have been very engaged in this fight for racial justice, for social justice. You can go back to the 1960s when the likes of Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were shoulder to shoulder in the civil rights movement alongside Muhammad Ali. Today's players very much engaged. We've seen where in recent times when George Floyd's killing brought people onto the streets, NBA players were out in public. They weren't just tweeting, they weren't just talking on television, they were out on the streets helping to protest. LeBron James, arguably the most famous player in basketball at the moment, has been front and center. The league has been very keen to encourage that. They have not held back in their players. They have worked with them inside the bubble in Orlando. Black Lives Matter is painted on the court. Each of the players has had social messages on their jersey. It has been lockstep, and now these two things are coming together in Orlando in a very visible form.
And Mark, for people who don't follow professional basketball in the States, where are we in terms of the schedule, how it affects things like the playoffs? What's the impact?
Well, right now, there are two meetings, as we understand it, going on in Orlando. One involving all the owners, but the players are effectively in the room. It will be a Zoom call of some sort, but they're all talking together. The players who met last night as a group, the teams who are left in the playoffs are also meeting as well to decide what they do next. Now, last night, the players, after they all returned from the court, there were discussions. A couple of teams, the LA Clippers, the Los Angeles Lakers as well, we understand that they were broadly in favor of calling off the season. Other teams, other players, considering that would be too drastic a step. Now, I think the mood is, from what you hear from players over there, is that they want the owners, the teams to be much more influential, to do more and see what they can do to influence lawmakers. The Bucks last night, while they were in the locker room, had a conference call with lawmakers in Wisconsin to try and put forward their case for tougher accountability for the police, as they said. Now, what hangs in the balance? Now, we don't know tonight if tonight's games go ahead, and we're just 3, 4, 5 hours away from the start of those. We don't know if the rest of this season will be called off. Huge financial implications if that happened, but there is frustration for the players. They are locked inside this bubble. They would dearly love to be engaged on a more hands-on basis, and some of them feel that they would rather be outside now rather than trapped inside, in a sense.